Hey, welcome back, guys. This is Aaron Washington, and my buddy John here. We are the host of the No Trade Clause podcast, and we are back in action for our it's hard to believe, 15 episodes now of discussing NBA, discussing the background of the league, getting into salary cap details, the whole nine. That's pretty much what we do at No Trade Clause. So happy to be back in the studio, back in the booth, so to speak. John's big time now. He's with, he's coaching with Xavier, and he's at MSG. So, I mean, I'm just trying to be like John, he's out here making moves, but we're having fun with it and just trying to get this podcast off the ground and really see where we can go with this thing and bring in some great guests for you guys that we have some guys lined up. So we were just talking about somebody we have lined up for January. That's going to be coming on. So that's going to be a lot of fun, but that'll be coming in the following weeks. For today, we have a few topics on hand. So, I mean, we're kind of trying to wrap this all together, but we're getting to the point now, like we're December 15th. So 2 days ago now was the date that a lot of players are eligible to be traded. So a lot of guys that sign new deals in the summer, not everybody, some are January, and that's a whole different set of rules. But most guys that were signed in the summer can now be traded as of 2 days ago. So it's the unofficial start of trade season leading into January and February, the trade deadline. So we might start to see a few deals here and there. And, the Thunder and Pelicans specifically, I know you wanted to kind of touch on them. It depends on who you ask. So, because some people say that the Pelicans are going to be buyers now that Zion is out, because it doesn't really make sense for them to try to tank because they have guys like Brandon Ingram and Devontae Graham. I want to see where you stand on that, because I read an article yesterday about the Pelicans and I was like, I don't know if I would build or if I would tear it down. Like, with the knowledge that Zion is going to be out for at least the next 8 weeks, if not longer, does it make sense to go and try to bring in reinforcements? Or, I don't know, maybe it's a better move to try to just ride this thing out and maybe sell some guys off and just try to start again next season with another pick. How do you feel about the future in Pelicans neck of the woods? Because I think they're in a bad spot too, similar to Portland, just for different reasons.
They're kind of in no man's land, and it's
Exactly.
a tough. That's what makes it so tough. I would say if Zion's out look, 8 weeks. We're already in the middle of December. You're looking at after the All-Star break, and we're saying maybe. So you're looking at going into March. I mean, what are their playoff chances? What are their playing chances? Just to get in and get bounced like right away. That's best case scenario. That's really what you'd be buying so much for. And what are you buying that with? Are you buying it with picks? Are you buying it? I mean, this is getting really tricky right here to where. Really, I mean, you're salvaging your future you're really not going to get anything in return. It's just that what you're buying isn't that hot of a commodity. Anyone could really buy a playing spot. That's kind of not really where you want to be. So I've always been of the mindset that buyers should always be teams that are buying championship. That's kind of what you're buying with your picks or with whatever else that might look like.
For
and
sure.
Sellers should be that's what the Pelicans should be, as sellers, because if at this point you outside of ticket prices and stuff, or just getting him run if he's healthy, and I don't want to say it, but he should almost be shut down for the whole season, because if he's coming in that late. And with the pictures we're seeing of him looking like a sumo wrestler, like, it just doesn't make sense. It just, I mean, he's coming back now. If he comes back and he's overweight, like, that's where he might get hurt even more. Like, that's not right for him to come back at what we're seeing reports at 320 pounds.
It's heavy, man. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's way too high.
No, this is the thing. Like, I got to see. I mean, I've tried to figure out where these reports are coming from, because it's coming from the Pelicans. He's got to be 330, 340. If it's coming from anybody else, maybe he's 305, right? We have to figure out, like, where this is coming from. I'm trying to figure it out. It looks like it's pretty consistently 320 from everywhere. So maybe that is the real number. But that it's scary. Like, anything with a 3 at the front of it, that's outside of
that's good, man.
Unless your Steph is the shot you're taking, anything with a 3 in front of it, you don't want to be anywhere near
right.
it. When you're in the doctor's office looking at a scale. So yeah, that's just bad news overall. I mean, hopefully he's able to fix that, but if he's not on that right plan from now, he won't be there in 2 months. Like, he's not that weight's not coming off in 2 months if he's not already working at it now. And from those pictures, it's going the opposite direction from where they want to go in. So if he's at that same weight, I can't imagine him suiting up this season, because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make this all about Zion, but I've been saying for a while now, I keep telling myself, like, this is where I'm at with Zion. He will be as good as he wants to be. I think the ball is in his court when it comes to taking care of his body. I mean, that's one of those things that, like, you have a lot of control over your weight going into the season. Like, you should come into the season at least be reasonable. Like, maybe you have to, take a few weeks to get in conditioning, full conditioning, gameplay mode, whatever. I understand that. But you got to take care of your body. You're an NBA player. You got to be better about that if the reports are true. And You got to tackle your rehab hard, because if you don't, you end up getting setbacks. I don't know what happened with that, with the setback. Like, is it something he did wrong? Like, I don't know. But I think if he really digs down and he wants to be a great player, he will be great. He comes back. He's at a good shape. Like, remember when Jokic and Kevin Love were like bigger guys or heavier?
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe they were good, but like they slimmed down. Like, I remember when Jokic, I think it was like 2 seasons ago. It was like in the bubble.
In the bubble. Skinny Jokic, baby.
Yeah. Do you see that's when he really just took off? He was MVP like the next season. So it's obvious that like if you take care of your body and you slim down, like Zion could be MVP player. Like, I think he will be top 10 player, arguably best player in the league. Because, I mean, he averaged 25, 27, I think, last season.
Come on. Yeah, it was nothing.
Like, I mean,
he's still average. Yeah, it was crazy.
And he was like under 100 games played total in his career. So, I mean, if he really digs down, he will be a legend, an NBA legend. There's no doubt about that. But we just don't know right now. It's kind of up in the air. But real quick, I mean, you know, there's another team out there, the Thunder. They're kind of in the opposite situation. They're not buyers. They're sellers. I mean, actually, that might be buyers for picks. You know, if you got some picks, like, we'll take some guy off your hands. That's where the Thunder are. They've kind of dipped down in the standings so far. So pretty much their deal is, if Shea plays, they're not bad. They're okay. If Shea doesn't play, they're the worst team in the league. Like, I think it's pretty obvious at this point. But where do you feel like the Thunder are going to go from here? You know, is this going to be like are they going to need to start building after this season? Like, how are you feeling with as far as the Thunder's approach to tanking? Like, is this full Sam Hinkie, or are they being a little bit more subtle about it?
I mean, look, losing by 73 points is losing by 73 points. There's no sugarcoating that. There's no faking the Zion, how much is a really way number. 73 is 73. It's not anything different than that. Yeah. But at the same time, we have to make sure we're transparent with our viewers. The reason why we're talking about these two teams is because they had a crazy sequence a couple nights ago, and it was kind of like the double tank. It's like, which team wants to tank, which team wants to lose more, and they're both hitting, like, you know, Shea hit a crazy shot to tie the game up, and then, of course, right, the shot that forces overtime. And I'm sorry, the shot that wins the game from full court. It doesn't get any crazier than that. But going back to the Thunder in terms of where they are now, like you said, good is looking good, really. I mean, looking passable when Shea plays, sure. It's funny. They're in this unique situation where they would normally be sellers. They're in a situation where, right, they've been buying all these picks selling, right, to buy all these picks for such a long time. They're in a situation where they can't really use all these picks. So at some point they're going to have to trade them. And now when's the right time to do that? That's something we have to ask maybe Larry or some of our mentors over at SBC as to what exactly, when they can actually start using some of them, when they have to give some of them away and they can't really have the roster space to take some of those picks on. That's going to be an interesting conversation that maybe we'll have that in GM Academy in a few weeks. But that's a situation where they're going to have to sell those picks at some point. I just don't know when and for what. It might be for better picks in that same draft, low lottery pick, and like a pick in the 20s for like a top 5 lottery, for a top 5 pick, maybe something like that. Or maybe it's straight up for guys that can help them win when they actually draft guys that 2 to 3 years after that are at the MVP level that KD, Westbrook, and Harden were at, right, when they fully matured. Like, that could be the situation that they're in, and that's something we have to evaluate in a few years. But as of right now, I would say get the most out of those picks as you can in the next year or two. And that's when you can then start selling those picks, you know, in 2024, 2025. And now you're really playing with guys that you drafted, that you kind of developed that in-house, and whatever you're bringing in from outside with the picks that, you know, the treasure trove of picks that you have, you could really, they're as close as you can get as a front office to being loaded in the NBA, I would say.
For sure. I mean, they have plenty of cap space, plenty of picks. They have a good amount of talent. They just need to cultivate that talent. And I think that's where the growing pains are coming in this season for, you know, losing. I mean, I don't think you should ever lose by 70 plus. I mean, that's just, you know, straight up embarrassing. But you're going to have to take your lumps. You're going to have some growing pains. And that's where they're at right now. So, I mean, I don't fault the process. I mean, do what you got to do to kind of cultivate players, kind of bring them along. Maybe another veteran or two wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So, I mean, you're a little bit more competitive, especially if Shea misses games. But other than that, I mean, I think they're in a good position. And, you know, going into next season, you know, they still have some great deals. I mean, can you believe that Dort only makes $1.7 million right now?
Wild. Yeah,
that's one of the best deals, if not the best deal. Because, I mean, he's worth easily 10, 12 million based on his production. So, I mean, that's a steal, man. And it's 1.9 next season. It's a player option. That's just or it's a team option. I'm sorry, team option for Dort for next season. So they have some deals. They just kind of have to find their way and figure out who's worth keeping over the long haul. That's what it comes down to. Yeah, as we got to wind down this podcast, I just want to remind you guys that we do have, some places you can kind of find us if you're looking to get involved with some of our work. So we do have a website called notradeclause.com. That's where you can find our cap sheets, draft capital, transaction logs, the whole nine is going to be down there at the ticker if you're watching this video style. And then, of course, we partner with Sports Business Classroom. They have a GM Academy coming up the December, I believe, 23rd through the 27th. So you guys got to get involved in that if you're thinking about kind of finding your way into basketball. Highly recommend that experience. Me and John took part in that, and we have nothing but great things to say about it. So if you go to sportsbusinessclassroom.com, then you can find out how to get involved and kind of check out their content, because they have a bunch of stuff going. And then at Summer League, they will actually have Sports Business Classroom coming back. So be sure to check out that. And then if you want to follow us on Twitter, that's also down there too. So @notrade_clause is our Twitter handle. We post graphics on there. Ali, our guy Ali, is great at graphics. We post some things on there, especially when it gets to trade season, free agency, key dates you need to keep your eye on. That's all going to be on our Twitter page. And, you can definitely follow us there if you want to get kind of more of the scoop as it pertains to the backside of the NBA with transactions. So that's going to bring us to our end of our episode here. John, always a great time, man. Thanks for coming in on, a day where you got a lot going on. You're coaching, you're making things happen. So we appreciate you having you on the team, and it's going to be a great time as we kind of move forward into the following weeks and going into the new year with some great content coming up. So
definitely check out GM Academy. It's going to be a lot of fun. We met each other through SBC. We're going to be there again for GM Academy and for whatever they do going forward. We're both obviously huge fans of the people that run it, the content that they're putting out. I think them giving us this opportunity to do the show, I mean, they've just helped our careers so much. And I know that the GM Academy is going to help out so many more people live their dreams out. So definitely check that out. And thank you all for listening.